Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome here to El Clasico weekend. It begins right here. The build-up is starting. The biggest game in the footballing calendar is about to take place. There's no Ronaldo, there is no Messi, but there is still 3 points on offer. And we're going to be giving you the latest on everything El Clasico right here, starting with some build-up. And first of all, guys, let me just give you an update on what I'm planning to do in the next few days. This video is going to be a guide, really, of some pre-match talk ahead of the Clasico, bit of team news from both sides and taking a look really at the struggles of our opponents, Real Madrid. Then tomorrow is the big day, match preview coming up and tactical preview as well. It is all going to be going down. I'm absolutely sure that you guys are excited as I am. So much optimism, so much positivity. We can do this. Let's get on with it. So starting with the Camp Nou, that of course is going to be hosting Sunday's Clasico, and we will start with the mosaic, the traditional mosaic really for Clásicos and very big games. The Camp Nou sort of covers itself with a message. All the supporters hold up a plaque and basically it will display a message. Now this time round, El Clasico will display "We Colour Football." Now originally there was a bit of uncertainty surrounding that slogan. A lot of people, saying what exactly are they trying to say. It's not really the best message, we're not really sure what that means. But since then it's sort of been dissected and broken down, and we seem to think that it basically means this: Real Madrid are playing, of course, in their traditional white shirts, traditional white, plain white, no real colour, no real flamboyancy really in the Real Madrid colours. And then there's us. There is a lot of colour, claret and blue, famous Barcelona colours. The stadium is going to be full of colour in El Clasico, and I think that's basically what it is supposed to mean. A lot of vibrancy, a lot of colour around the stadium, and hopefully that can transmit onto the pitch with some flamboyant football, with some colourful football, and some excitement coming from our play and delivering that to the stands. And speaking of the Camp Nou, we actually have a serious point to prove at our home cathedral in this Clasico match, simply because if you look at our recent form in Clásicos, we've actually performed a lot better away from home at the Bernabeu than we have at the Camp Nou, which is really surprising when you consider the hostile atmosphere, the support that we get from home. We haven't really been able to convert that into points and into results. Last season, of course, we drew 2-2 at home in the league against Real Madrid. We then lost at home against them at the start of the season in the Super Cup. We then drew against them in the league the season before, and the season before that we lost. So it actually turns out we have not beaten Real Madrid at the Camp Nou since Luis Suarez's emphatic winner back in 2015. That is a long time to go without a Clasico home win. We've been sensational at the Bernabeu, but now it's time. Deliver that kind of display at the Camp Nou, and that begs the question: are we ready to see a bit of a show on our home turf this Sunday? And then, of course, it comes down to team selection. Ernesto Valverde, a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Big games that we've had coming up. We've beaten Sevilla, we've beaten Inter, and now it's down to him to pick the team that can beat Real Madrid, which for any coach in Clásicos, it's make or break. That team selection is absolutely vital. Just one bad inclusion, one little slip, one player that's included that shouldn't really be there, that can change your entire game. That can unravel your game plan. If that player doesn't perform, you will be punished. And Valverde has got to get this absolutely right, as we're going to be discussing, like I say, tomorrow in so much detail with that tactical preview. But in terms of right now, the early signs that I can give you guys, according to the local media, Valverde is going to stick with a winning team. The team that beat Inter is reportedly going to be the team that faces Real Madrid. That would mean, in theory, that Rafinha will retain his starting place in the team, scored against Inter, playing from the right-hand side, and Sergio Roberto once again will be playing in the right-back role, and that means the likes of Vidal, Dembele, Malcolm are all expected once again to start from the bench. And like I say, there will be a lot more talk about tactics and our setup tomorrow, but I want to know your guys' thoughts on that very early on right now. The early indications we're sticking with that winning team. Is that a good idea? Do you think that's what we should do? Should Valverde stick with that entire 11 with no changes? Let me know in the comments down below if you think that's what we should be doing this Sunday. And now I do want to talk talk about Real Madrid. Now, this section of the video, guys, is not going to be a rant. It's not going to be a diss track against Real Madrid players, but I do want to really talk about their slump in form and what I feel really has been the driving force behind that. Of course, in the summer, they lost Cristiano Ronaldo, but they also lost Zinedine Zidane. Massive leadership. I don't think his tactics were all that incredible, but in terms of as a leader, as bringing the best out of those players, really raising all of their levels in the big moments, they have missed that kind of leadership. And of course, with Ronaldo, you are going to lose goals. And I just think in the summer, they didn't react. Florentino Perez has got such a track record of going out there and buying what he needs, no matter what the price, no matter who it was, he would get his man. But I think he's lost that right now. In the summer, they didn't get Hazard, they got nowhere near a Galactico signing, and the players they did bring in, they're a very good quality, but did they really need them? And we're going to start here with Thibaut Courtois, who for me, is a very good goalkeeper, but is he a massive upgrade on Keylor Navas? Not really for me. He's not going to make a significant difference in that team. 35 million euros spent there in an area that wasn't really a priority for them, especially since they've been courting now De Gea for several years. He would have been a massive signing, a really big statement, but Courtois isn't De Gea. They sort of settled for Courtois, and like I say, that's not really Real Madrid. Then you've got Odriozola, who came in from Real Sociedad, and you could say exactly the same for the signing of this right back here, who, don't get me wrong, is an excellent prospect, a really good young player, an attacking fullback, certainly an epitome of the modern game, but that's another 40 million euros there, spent in an area where they weren't exactly short. Carvajal is an excellent option, and even the likes of Nacho can easily cover for Dani Carvajal when he's not available. And I just think there, did they really need to go out and sign 40 million worth on a player that's not really going to give them another dimension? And finally, you look at somebody like Mariano Diaz, Real Madrid's third and final signing of the summer, which came just days before the transfer deadline, and you're looking at that, it screams absolutely of a panic buy. It really was. They re-signed Mariano from Lyon, the club they'd sold him to, for just 8 million euros a year ago, and they re-signed him for 30 million plus 3, and it just screamed of a panic. They were at the end of the window, they hadn't got their targets, they were lacking in attacking options, and they were thinking, what can we do? And Mariano became Real Madrid's only attacking signing in the entire transfer window. In the summer, they lost Cristiano Ronaldo. What on earth are they doing there? And not only has Mariano come in and hardly played, Lopetegui hasn't put a lot of faith in him, he even took the number 7 shirt. He was certainly not the Galactico that Real Madrid were expecting. He hasn't delivered so far. He's still young, of course, but I just feel like they needed more. They needed more firepower. They needed more goals. They're relying right now on the likes of Benzema, who, don't get me wrong, his build-up play is very good. He's a very good team player. He helps everybody tick, but he's not a goal scorer. Right now, he's not the clinical number 9 goal machine that you need when you lose somebody like Ronaldo. There's Bale, a lot of quality. We saw that in the Champions League final. I know all about Bale's quality being Welsh, but he's injury prone. You can't really rely on him, and Real Madrid right now are paying the price for what was a shambolic summer. And then for me, there's a number of players who I think at Real Madrid are suffering with a serious World Cup hangover. You look at Varane, who went all the way with France, played very regularly during the World Cup, and I think he's looked a bit sluggish since he came back so far this season. Then you got Luka Modric, who I don't think has really been close to his best this season so far, and at the age of 33, it's going to take him a bit longer to recover from that lengthy World Cup campaign, dragging Croatia to the final, all that emotion, all that hard work. It's difficult for him right now to find his feet again at Real Madrid, and alongside him, Toni Kroos, who a lot of people rate very highly, and he is a good midfielder, but I think he's been struggling for form now for month upon month. He had an absolutely shocking World Cup for Germany. He was really bad, and since he's come back to Real Madrid, it hasn't improved for him. He's still been on poor form. They're in a really bad moment right now, but above all, we have to talk about Julian Lopetegui, the man who turned his back on Spain in the summer, who couldn't have given a damn about Spain's World Cup campaign. He walked out of there, walked into the Real Madrid job as soon as it came, and look at him now. He is seriously under pressure. He's on the brink of losing his job, and I think even when Real Madrid appointed him, I think a few people thought, are they jumping the gun a bit here? Because he never really achieved anything in club football. At Porto, he wasn't exactly tearing up any trees, and as we're seeing now, it simply has not worked out at Real Madrid. He's looked extremely indecisive. He's looked like he's not really sure how to set up this Real team, what sort of brand of football that's best to play with these players. At first, he wanted them to have more possession, pass the ball, keep the ball, but the players didn't like that. They didn't want to be like Barcelona, and Lopetegui then wasn't really sure what to do. He wasn't sure what to do next. I think since then, he's lurched from one disaster result to another, and he's just been hoping upon hope that that something or somebody can save him, and it hasn't happened. They've not really had a leader, somebody like Ronaldo perhaps, who's stepped up in the big moments. Even their 2-1 win over Victoria Pilsen on Tuesday in the Champions League, that was hard work. That was really, really difficult work for them, and they actually became the first Spanish opponent to concede a home goal against the Czech side. It was bad from Real Madrid. It has been now for month upon month upon month, and there even have been rumours that Lopetegui could still be sacked before Sunday's showdown at the Camp Nou, with Santi Scolari and then perhaps Antonio Conte waiting in the wings. But as of right now, I am delighted to inform you, Lopetegui remains in a job. And so that is basically the lowdown as we're looking at El Clasico right now. Early signs from Barcelona. It's going to be an unchanged team. We're looking confident. We're looking good. But on the Real Madrid side, they've got some serious problems. But like I say, in Clásicos, form is nothing. You cannot go into this game and rely on form. It's going to come down to hard work. It's going to come down to that tactical setup and taking your chances on the night. And we're going to be discussing all of that and more tomorrow. The preview and the tactical preview coming up. I am excited. I hope you guys are too. I'll see you then. Leave your thoughts down below. But until then, as always, Vesca El Barça.